Yeah, I was just on a atheist live stream, and I thought of a question, which is, why is it that so many atheists tend to be white men? Like, I'm a white man, I'm an atheist. Like, why is that? And I think it might have to do with privilege, i.e., it's easier to not be religious if you're comfortable. In fact, comfortability is a big deal. Also, in order to philosophize well and be skeptical, it requires a certain amount of comfortableness and leisure time to think about stuff like that. Like, you're not going to spend the effort and time to question very fundamental things which are painful to question if you're struggling to survive and you have all kinds of hardships. And especially if the belief that you would have to question is the same belief which helps you get through the hardships. So if you have tons of hardships, it really helps if you believe that there is a magical being which loves you and will, after your hardships, reward your hard work and perseverance through all of the bad stuff with paradise afterwards. So yeah, that's why if you're uncomfortable, i.e. you have lots of hardships, it's easier to be religious because that belief could maybe help you get through it, even though there's not a whole lot of good evidence for it. But if you don't have hardships, you don't need religion because you don't have the huge amounts of hardships to begin with. So it might be that atheism tends to be, and libertarianism too, for different reasons, very white male dominated. Now there are people who are atheists who are not white male, but it may just be that because white men in America are probably some of the most privileged people, not just in the country but on the face of the earth. Even if they're poor in America, they're still privileged for their whiteness and maleness. So yeah, their comfortableness makes it easier to be religion because they don't need it to go through their non-existent hardships. That's not saying that white men are like me, never go through anything uncomfortable or never have any kind of hardship. But we don't have to worry about systematic racism or sexism. In fact, we're at the top of it. We so have to worry about it so little that it's hard for me to even realize that sexism or racism exists because it doesn't happen to me, so it's hard to see. Even when I see it happen in other people, I have to go, oh, that's racism. Yeah, that's right, that's what that is over there. Because it doesn't happen to me. Like, when I get pulled over by cops, I literally just get a warning, to be honest. Whereas if I worry what would happen if I was black. Probably wouldn't just get a, oh well, don't do that again. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's easy to be an atheist if you're comfortable. On top of that, if you're comfortable, it's not as big of a cost to become an atheist because you're not getting rid of a crutch. There's no crutch there to begin with. On top of that, if you were not a white male, you're probably surrounded by super religious people. So there's that too. And I'm talking about situations in which you're in a community in which you can be an atheist and no one will care. Like if you're in the Bible Belt, this doesn't really follow because it's so religious. But if you're in a situation in which there's not a big social cost to being an atheist, it's easier to do if you're white male and you're privileged and you have comfort, and you have time too. In order to be skeptical and philosophic and sit around thinking, is there a God or not? You have to have time. You can't sit around and think about and do the kinds of things that will lead to you going from religious to atheistic if every moment you're spent is working. Like, so if you're like really poor, it might be harder to become an atheist because you're way too busy worrying about survival and the survival of your kinfolk than thinking about the mysteries of the universe. Hence why also atheists tend to be at least like upper lower class or middle class on up, because privileged and comfortable. So yeah. There probably could be a lot more said about it, and I'm oversimplifying a very complicated issue, so keep that in mind with this video, mainly because YouTube, all videos are supposed to be really short anyway. But yeah, that's the main ideas. You can get the implications from it if you wish. That's all fine.